Hey, everybody. Larry, Fort Worth Memories Museum and Group, and all of our other groups. It's Tuesday morning, 10 a.m., Hometown Heroes. Uh, Rick and Mary, how was roll call, the big roll
The
call?
big roll call was
Woo!
a big success, thanks
It
to
was.
Mary.
Oh,
Yeah.
not thanks to me.
Well,
Thanks to a
thanks to
lot of
Mary
people.
and all the other people that took care of all the working parts of that.
Mhm.
We had over 850 pounds of brisket cooked for
Wow.
that, and the beef came from a ranch up in Amarillo. So
How many people do y'all know have a count?
One time I should actually do a count, but we had 650 signed up through us, and then the skipper expected about 200. So we were expecting about 850. I'd say somewhere in the neighborhood of 800 with all the military folks. And boy, I'll tell you what, I was telling some of them when I showed up at 8:30 Friday morning, the hangar, so it's a big hangar, and all that's in there is the stage and the big American flag in the background. Nothing else is in there yet. The tables and chairs are at the back, but nothing is set up. And
It
all
filled
these
up.
military folks came in. So the Navy, there were Navy Marines, there were some Air Force guys. Then the Air Force recruiters showed up, and everybody all the tables, boom, the tables were up, the chairs were out. I think we probably set for about 900 people, and it took no time. Then when Brenda served the lunch, so think about this, 850 people. We don't do a line at roll call. That food is put on the table by volunteers. And the military men and women lined up to serve everybody. It was 11 minutes, and I can't remember how many seconds Brenda timed it to put a plate of food in front of every single person.
So it went off without a hitch. No
Woo!
problems.
not too many hitches.
No, other than they had a little leak from the ceiling we had to avoid. It was really something. The
We had-
cake.
Bill Parker?
Woo!
Did he get to cut the cake?
No, Bill didn't. Bill McIntyre,
Yeah.
who will be 103 in July.
Yes.
He's the whole reason we're at Birchman, really. One of the original members of Roll Call, and he'll be 103 in July. And because we don't do a July luncheon, we always miss his birthday. So this was really great. He got to cut the cake.
Brought
With the
big,
saber,
brought the
yeah.
big saber out and
Yes.
cut the cake.
And
He
I
was
see
so
y'all,
excited.
y'all got Don Graves off. I saw the send off.
Mhm.
Don
Yeah.
Graves is in Ireland.
Is he there
Yes,
now?
He's there
He's gonna-
now. Tomorrow's
His
his
98th birthday. He's going to be in an Irish pub. I
That's
don't know if he's
awesome.
going to be drinking green beer.
What's
like
the
he
time
was.
difference?
What's a what?
Time
not
difference.
I think it's 8 hours. I don't
Ahead
know
or
the detail, but I
behind?
think
They're
ahead.
gonna be ahead.
But so Jeremy said
nighttime over
that he
there,
was
isn't
going to
it?
bring some green
Uh,
food coloring, and then just put a little drop in his beer so he could have a green beer.
and then he'll sing Danny Boy.
Danny boy, yeah.
That'll be checked off his bucket list.
Yeah.
We
But
had-
he sang "God Bless America" at the luncheon
airport.
too. So
He
we
did.
had Bill Parker, who his story, of
he's
course,
98.
he's 98. His story was just great, and then
One of the first guy to hit Omaha Beach.
Still with us.
Six
Yeah.
people got off that landing
I
craft.
need to go next year.
Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
it
you
was
need to start coming every
it was
month.
amazing. And then we did the Fort Worth Civic Leaders presented awards to 5 military members, currently serving military members for their community service. And when they read those nominations for these guys, they were amazing. The one guy saved a bunch of people by taking down a bad guy that had a gun in Oklahoma. It was actually in Oklahoma. But listening to those narratives that came with those members that won those awards, that was really something. And Don sang "God Bless America," and then Brad Thompson sang. He brings his guitar and he sings
God Bless you, USA.
God Bless
the
you,
Lee
USA.
Greenwood song. And he was rocking the place. wasn't he?
Man, it was really something. Holy cow.
And
And
then,
then by 2:00, the hangar was back to the way it was when I walked in.
And I think Dusty took a time lapse of cleaning it all up.
Yeah.
Getting it
Yeah.
all torn down.
But those military members, boy, they were amazing, and picked up and took back the tables and chairs to Birchman Baptist Church. They were willing to go pick up vets if they needed to. the
Greyhound had a bus. They
Greyhound,
donated the
right,
bus
yep,
thanks to Wanda Cox at
Yeah.
Air Power
Air
Foundation.
Foundation.
Excellent.
But it's been a busy month. We had the Gold Star Parents Retreat a few weeks ago. And then Thursday night, we had the professional boxing. That went good, other than Alexis Moniz. She lost, and Sammy Brown, both of them fighters out of Relaford's gym. REM, I forgot the initials.
Did both of them lose?
Both of them lost, but we had several other local guys that won. Just, start doing.
Was it a good turnout where it'll continue?
Yeah, I was afraid it wasn't going to be. And then I looked out there, and the line was probably 60 people deep for a long time just coming in out in the parking lot. So we had a lot of stuff going on there. Of course, Don's trip to Ireland, and Mary's got finals this week, so she's still going to college. She's just like college co-ed. So
Yeah. 4 more classes after this.
But today, our special guest is Terry Burgess and Mike Bozo. And the reason they're here is because they're Gold Star parents.
Yes.
And this is Gold Star Family Awareness Month.
Yes.
May is. So I thought it'd be appropriate to have 2 Gold Star dads with us. And back in April of 2017, and I think the date was like the 27th. Yeah, it was the 27th. I made this post. It said, "What an humbling experience and great honor to visit with 2 Gold Star families this evening, 2 mothers and 2 fathers who lost sons in the service of our great nation. As I sat at the table with them, listening to them talk about the grief they go through each and every day, I thank God for their sons and the sacrifices they made for our nation and our world. What great Americans these 4 parents are. God bless them, and God bless the United States of America." And that was in 2017, months before I ever came to roll call, months before I got a camera. And y'all were there. My brother had just come back from a trip, my brother and sister-in-law from Utah. And I think both of you were you at the Utah trip or just Terry?
I was not at
Okay.
Utah.
So Terry was at the Utah trip, and Kenny said, "I want you to meet somebody that lived in Clyde, Texas, and grew up with our cousins." And so he and my cousins grew up together. And so that started that bond. And then I think later on, maybe in the fall, I started taking pictures at roll call, and you came to some roll call.
Yes.
And then you asked me to come to the Gold Star Parents Retreat in April of 2018
Yes, sir.
and take pictures. And that was my first time at the Gold Star Parents Retreat, but it was Mike and Delicia's first time too.
It was. Yeah, that was
And
the first time.
I could just remember y'all coming in. I mean, y'all shattered.
I was a different person.
Yeah,
We both were.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And to see the way that these other parents just kind of wrapped their arms around y'all and loved y'all and brought you in. And the next year, whenever I came back, y'all were there. And I saw y'all with these new parents coming in, wrapping your arms around them in love and helping them.
And
it
I
just
love
grows.
what Mike said early on. He said, you know what, the parents that have lost a child are carrying a lot of luggage, a lot of baggage. And he said, then meeting people, meeting other parents in the same situations, meeting people like you who understand, who want to honor our sons and daughters, that luggage, that baggage gets a lot lighter.
It does. And I remember saying that in another meeting. When you go to a Gold Star Parents Retreat, you're walking in with a heavy luggage. You get to put it down for a long weekend. You put it over there, and it's there when you leave, that luggage, but somehow it just feels a little lighter after every retreat.
And this retreat we just had 2 weeks ago, and with that retreat, there were some people that really didn't want to come. But by the end of the retreat, they said, "We are so glad that we came."
And they want to come back. They
Yeah.
want to come
Oh,
back next
it's full for next year already. I
We
mean,
are
as soon as
full
you
up.
said the date, it got full.
Yes, we had a waiting list, and as much as we would like to accommodate everyone, space, funds are very limited.
Mhm.
So unfortunately, we can't accommodate everyone, but we do try to bring in first timers and have a mix of our regulars where they can bond and talk and discuss and let everybody know, make them feel comfortable.
Let's talk about how you became a Gold Star Dad, because it's not something that you have on your bucket list that, hey, I want to be a Gold Star Dad. It's something that nobody wants to be,
Not ever.
because your son Bryan was killed in action in Afghanistan, and that made you a Gold Star parent, didn't it?
And at the time while Bryan was serving, our daughter-in-law, Bryan's wife, had given us a banner with that blue star on it. She said, this represents a family member serving, in overseas or and we had no idea there was one with the gold star. We did not know that. And like I told a lot of people, they said, well, you knew Bryan was in harm's way. And I said, yeah, but we got phone calls from him, we got texts. We did FaceTime with him, and I just pushed it to the back of my head. And then that morning, March 29th, 2011, my daughter-in-law called me and told us that Bryan had been killed in action early that morning. And until we met with our CAO, our Casualty Assistance Officer, we went to Fort Campbell, and the Brigadier General pinned a Gold Star pin on us, and that's when we became a Gold Star fan. That's when we realized the significance and the weight of that Gold Star.
And in that unit, no slack, Bryan wasn't the only casualty that day.
No, there were 6 killed on this mission, Operation Strong Eagle 3 in Kunar Province, Afghanistan. It was supposed to be a 3-day mission. Get in, get this guy named QZR, Wazir Rahman, get him, get out. And instead it turned into a 9-day, 360-degree firefight. So Bryan and 5 of his brothers were killed in this battle. And like we were talking earlier, we bonded with those other families. Those other 5 families are now closer to us than some blood relations. So
one thing I found was it was a bloody day for No Slack. The task force No Slack commander, U.S. Army Colonel Joel Val, a native of Birmingham, Alabama, said the soldiers' sacrifice was not in vain. Our enemy has grown too large, too bold, too capable to ignore any longer. Task Force No Slack met the challenge, and we destroyed and killed over 130 insurgent fighters and wounded scores of others in our biggest battle since Vietnam. So it was a big battle.
it was huge, and it was captured on film by Mike Betcher, ABC News, and he turned it into a documentary, the Hornet's Nest movie, which you can find pretty easily. And Rick, I was a war movie buff. I watched movies with my dad, and we talked about it. But until I saw that actual footage, it's all helmet cams, it's all Mike's camera. I had never seen or experienced anything like that.
So it wasn't actors in Hollywood.
It was no actors at all, no special effects. It puts you right in that battle, and it just stunned me what Bryan did that day.
And the first time I saw that movie, I was with you, and I think that was it on Bryan's birthday down in
It was.
Glen Rose?
Yes.
Or no, Cleveland.
Well, it's
At the
Cleveland,
VFW.
yes.
And we played that movie. I don't know, were you there, Mike?
No, I wasn't.
I never seen it before. And I knew it was coming. But to see it with you and Elizabeth and Randy and Linda, and to know what was going to happen, and then hear those words over that radio that Burgess is down.
I'll never forget. That's the part of that
That's
movie
chilling.
that just gets me right here.
Because you don't have to wonder. I mean, you have it right there. You knew where he was and what he was doing.
And we know the men that were right there with him. We got to meet the medics. We became good friends with Doc. Some of the guys that tried to pull him to safety, they were killed. We're good friends with Nate Allen, who got Bryan to safety. Nate took a bullet, still carrying it to this day, trying to get Bryan to safety. So that part of this worst day ever. That part of it has been good for us. And I think that's what kept me from sinking so deep into depression, was knowing I'm not alone. I have these other families. And the other side of that coin, the sad part of that coin, is talking to some of the families that come to the retreat that don't have answers, that they don't know.
We talked about that, because suicide is a big problem in our country, in our military. And so we openly talk about suicide at the Gold Star Parents Retreat.
Yes, we do.
There's so many of them.
So many of them.
I was shocked
I was
when we
too.
became part of the Gold Star family. I was shocked how many of our guys, our men and women, are committing suicide.
And at the Gold Star Parents Retreat on that Friday, when these new Gold Star parents were coming in, Mike was talking to two of the women and to the Gold Star moms, and he said, this is going to be an emotional weekend. We're going to talk about death, but we're also going to talk about suicide. So we're going to talk openly about it, because that just helps, I think. I have no way to know how all this goes with y'all that have lost children. And so I don't really know if healing's a good word, because I don't think it's probably like a major gash or something. You always have pain and stuff, and you have that scar. It heals, but you're still going to have the residual effect. So it's always going to be there.
Exactly. And that's one of the things that Beth likes to tell parents that are coming for the first time. Like, we're not there to try to fix you. You're not broken. You're grieving. So we don't hold traditional therapy classes. We don't have, sit around and
Smoke
cry.
cigars and drink whiskey. And
we do.
There's some of that going on, yes.
We have
Karaoke.
a wine and cigar bar.
Yeah, a little of that.
And then we have Carol Savage, and she lights the room up
She does, yes.
with her costumes and all her stuff.
Wigs.
So.
Yeah.
But Mike, let's talk about your son Colby. Yeah, he wasn't on the battlefield when
Correct.
he was murdered,
Right,
and that was in 2015.
yes.
In June.
June 25th. So we're coming up on the 8-year mark. And that's something, there was a stigma for me when we were invited to become part of Gold Star. Technically, I'm not a Gold Star. He wasn't killed in combat. I've kind of got that in my mind. That's kind of old school. One thing that is so fantastic about this group is if your child served and they died or were killed, suicide, it doesn't matter. You can be part of this group. Colby was murdered locally. He was in between deployments. He was a special forces interrogator. He was very good at it, by the way. But that's
Been
more.
Iraq twice and Afghanistan once.
He did one each, I believe. No, it's Iraq twice, Afghanistan once. He started out kind of early in Iraq, but we lost him stateside. And that first year, when you lose a child, you're in a fog, you're in a hole, and you don't know how to get out. You can see the light, but you don't know how to get out there. And there were a couple groups, Gold Star being one of them, that they don't force themselves, but when you meet them, you realize that, wait a second, they've lost a child too, but he's smiling. I want to do that again. And that's what they've done for us. As you said earlier, I was a wreck when you first met me.
And based on what I observed, you were a little bit better shape than Delisha, I think, at that first retreat.
I still am. I got to give moms, Delisha, my wife, she's an incredible mother. But a mother to lose the child, I'm old school, so you want to stay strong. But the men, they need a little bit of care too.
Absolutely, because we see other couples. There were some couples there, and the wives, because people don't grieve the same. And so you have the wife here and the husband here, or very seldom are they both on the same page in what they're going through.
I've seen strong mothers, and when I say strong or weak, I'm just saying they're in different places. I've seen the whole gauntlet there. We've seen some of the fathers there. They're a wreck.
Let's talk about Colby and that day that he was murdered. And I mean, it's just sky was clear that day.
It was a sad story.
Yeah.
It made some of the nationwide news that evening because of how it happened. He had been married for 90 days. His first child was due in 3 weeks. Yeah, starts off bad. They were driving home from a sonogram appointment right here in Bedford, Texas. A person who was out on parole for a previous murder conviction was running from the police and stole the vehicle. T-boned him 85 miles an hour. Hit him so hard that the seat was ripped out of the vehicle, the 4 bolts that hold that in. Slammed into his wife. She died at the scene. They revived her, revived her. Her son, well, my son's son, was born basically on care flight. They started to pull the baby, they cut her open and ripped out. Brody is his name. So that poor little guy shares his birthday is also the day his daddy died.
And Colby, they say he was killed instantly.
It was instant, and even on the death certificate, it says seconds. So thank God he didn't feel any pain, from what we understand.
And the perpetrator, the next year was the trial.
We went to trial, and it was murder trial because running from the police, it was, the crimes involved in that. He's in prison for 50 years, and he won't be able to hurt anyone ever again. So that's how we lost our child. They call us Gold Star, but I refuse to take that. That belongs to the men like this and their bride.
But your hurt's not any different.
It is not different.
And
I'll take that. Yes.
And that's what I think. Because people are so blessed because of the Gold Star Parent Retreat to get to come there. And then you think about the millions of parents out there that have lost children that don't have a support group like that.
Exactly.
There's millions of parents that are hurt.
Yes, absolutely.
But what you went through that day, not just the emotional part of losing your son, but then not knowing if your daughter-in-law was going to live or not, and then to have a new baby, or there's supposed to be a lot of joy and stuff, and that's a lot to process, right?
It was tough. There's certain moments you remember. I remember when we got the news, we were in the house, and thank God I was there. I wasn't at work that day. My wife dropped the phone, fell on the floor, and your whole world changes in an instant. And it will always be different. There's always going to be that empty place setting on holidays. But just change gears a little bit. I knew that a year and a half in, that eventually I wanted to turn it around and start to help others. And I just kind of recently started to do that. That I would think that's an ultimate goal. You guys are doing it. You've been doing it for years. You turn the pain into something else. You help people because there's always going to be a new soldier. There's always going to be another airman or a sailor. And there's going to be those left behind. So someone's got to throw that rope down in the hole and help them climb out. And that's my goal.
And at the Gold Star Parents Retreat, we met a mother, the lady from Stone Mountain, Georgia, and her daughter.
Yes.
And you think you've got problems, and you think that you have all these parents that have lost a child. In about 4 or 5 years, she lost her son who was in the military. Her daughter died a month after she'd given birth to this lady's granddaughter. And then her youngest son was murdered by his cousin. And you think, she had a smile.
Yeah, how is she still walking?
And her other daughter was there with her.
Yeah, Lana was there.
And that was just so special to be with her and know what happened. And just think, how do you keep going on?
You say you don't know what it's like to lose a child. You don't. Yeah. I do. Well, I have no idea how she does it. I don't know how she does that.
And there's just story after story. It's one of the things I like to do whenever I'm with Gold Star parents, especially the mothers, is I get to know them more and talk with them. It eventually usually comes out how they found out, because you see Saving Private Ryan, and the mother's there and the truck pulls up or the car pulls up and the guys get out, and you think, how did you find out? And there's so many different stories. I mean, one fella that was there, his son had been in a training accident, and another friend of his called the guy's wife and said, hey, he's hurt bad, he's on care flight to go to the hospital. And then she went to look for him at the hospital, and we don't have him here. Oh wait, he's in the morgue. How? It's just it's a very emotional weekend. You have your highs and lows, and then the last day, whenever we were cleaning up, and Terry's got a table back there with Bryan's picture and some other things about Bryan, and I picked this up. This is a card about Bryan. I picked that up. I was looking at it. I thought, Bryan's looking down from heaven and seeing how the sacrifice he made is helping so many parents with their going through their grief.
He's proud of his mom and dad.
He is.
Well, that's one thing I ask myself every day. It's like, and I look at that photo, that the original from Phil Taylor's hanging over our fireplace, and it's huge. And Bryan looking down at us in that living room, and I think, would Bryan be proud of what I did today? And that's what I ask myself. That's my goal.
I keep this on my dresser at home, and every morning I see Bryan. And I think about all the parents that I've met, because, that first Gold Star retreat, y'all just grafted me into your family. And I think, man, this is special, but I don't want to be where y'all are. I like being on the outside looking in.
It's a club you don't want to join.
No, it's a club that I don't want to join. And then, I got involved with the Clemens out at Abilene and their group out there, the Survivors of the Fallen, and they engrafted me. And it's just, it's one of those deals that I just don't want to miss every year. I just love to go there, and I hope as long as I'm able that you'll have me back.
As long as I'm breathing.
And I feel like a rock star, because all these people are in these little bitty cabins and stuff. And both years that we've been to Wichita
You always get
Falls,
that big one.
I'm in this cabin with a fireplace and a jacuzzi. It sleeps 8, and it's just me. And I think they love me.
We'll change that next year.
It's because nobody wants to share a cabin with you. I don't know.
But it's just a good experience.
Well, thank you, Rick.
And you have some good sponsors with American Airlines.
We do, and I'm going to sing Mike's praises along with that. We worked real hard with American Airlines, Randy Stillinger, and we asked him if there was a way that he could help us get parents out of state to come to Texas. So we had a meeting with Randy, and he said, all right, we're going to donate enough miles to get your people into Texas. And Mike volunteered to handle the flights, the tickets, the booking, and everything, which I can't tell you what a load that was off of me, where I could handle the other details of the retreat. And Mary, y'all know, you have one event, you're already planning for the next year. Like this, we're planning for next year and for 2025. It's nonstop.
Right.
And for Mike to take that load off of us, planning those flights, talking to the people, getting them booked, and everything, was just absolutely tremendous. I can't thank you enough. We gave him a staff at the retreat with had wings on it. You truly gave these people wings, and
We had people from all over the country.
from all over the country. We started off in 2016. We did a retreat down in Leakey, Texas, just as a test to see if there were other parents of fallen soldiers looking for what I was looking for. We had a full house very first time, so we became a 501c3. We thought we're just going to do this for Texas because there's 8,000 just in Texas Gold Star families. And we had more and more requests. There's nothing in our state like that. What can we do? And I was like, we'll get you to ours. And then we encourage those families in other states, start a retreat, start an event for the other parents that can't come, that can't travel. And yeah, we had parents come from the Carolinas, from Michigan, from Wyoming, from California. They came
Pittsburgh.
from Pittsburgh, everywhere. And
And it's like, you gotta change planes in DFW to fly up
that's
to
you
Wichita
do that
Falls.
thing.
Yes.
There's a hop.
There is a hop by DFW at SPS, Wichita Falls. That's the tough one right there.
Hey, Mark and Anita told me they coming in at 10 o'clock and their connecting flight was gonna be at 5 that afternoon, so they just rented a car. And they're a great couple that you met in Sheridan, didn't you?
We did. We met them up at Wyoming West, a big organization up there. And we told them about the retreat, and Mark and Anita said, yes, we'd love to come. Can we volunteer? I said, absolutely. We'll take you as volunteers. So they come, and they're those rare individuals who haven't lost a child, but they understand what these families are going through. Mark's a veteran, so he understands, and he's lost soldiers. So having them come, having the parents be able to actually talk to their volunteers, it goes a long ways, because there's other events, there's other organizations where they have volunteers come in, but it's like college students, it's like high school students, it's people that have never had life mess with them yet. So our volunteers understand, and that goes a long ways to our guests.
And there's just a small core group of volunteers.
Very small, yes.
Because you don't have, I mean, we have an agenda, but we don't have breakout sessions and classes about this and that. It's just like,
There's no
let's just go hang
payroll.
out.
There's no headquarters. Headquarters is his home. He's got an office. There's no payroll. It is 100% volunteer.
Yes.
We and the volunteers interact so well with all the parents.
Yeah.
And you know, this year, Megan Cruz Miller, she came up to take pictures with me, and it really helped because I could interact more with them.
It was nice to see that. Having Megan there took a little bit of load off of you, like evidently I have for you a little bit.
Yeah.
Allowed you to get around and talk a
So I
little
got to
bit
spend
more.
a lot of time with Carlos. You know, AR talking to him, and AR talking
Yeah.
with Billy Hogan, you know, and I wouldn't have done that. So, I mean, that is good. And then she was able to interact a lot with a lot of the parents, you know, and kind of talk to them and get their stories.
I enjoy interacting. You know me. If you're new, I make a beeline, and I want to hear your story. I want to talk to you. I enjoy that. I enjoy seeing the new people come in.
Good. Yeah. And then we had some good food too, didn't we?
Oh my gosh. The caterer, Javier, he does a good catering service. His food is always amazing. He does chicken fried steak for us, and then he does some lasagna, does a wonderful breakfast, bacon and eggs. That's wonderful. And then good friend Troy Melton, veteran there in Wichita Falls, he approached me last year and said, we have a group here that does barbecue. They do briskets, they do ribs. He said, we'd like to cook for you. So he went to Market Street there in Wichita Falls. Market Street donated $400 worth of meat to the retreat to Troy. Troy brought his crew out, and they set up Saturday morning. We had to smell that barbecue cooking all day.
Yeah, they set up
Friday night. Friday night they started
Set
seasoning
out
it.
there and-
They're a competition team, I believe,
They are a
aren't they? Yeah.
competition team. John, his brisket was just
It was
incredible.
good.
And I don't eat ribs. I don't.
They fell off the bone.
I ate ribs that night. I did. I had to tell John, I don't normally do this, but your ribs were worth. So that helped us tremendously as far as expense goes. The meals are not cheap. Everything we do, it comes from private donations. And this retreat, as fabulous as it was, we took a pretty good hit on financing this retreat. So we're
We need to.
we're
fill
back
the
into
coffers up.
donations, and I like what you told the parents. And put a birthday fundraiser out there on Facebook. $200 can fund a person for the weekend. So that's very much appreciated.
And we'll be running your website where they can go and donate.
Oh, thank you.
GoldStarParentsRetreat.org.
Yes.
And that's a good place if you want to donate some money to help some of the parents who have sacrificed so much for our country through the death of their child. So
And I added some of yours and Megan's photos. There's a photo album going on at the bottom of the website, and seeing the smiles, you captured the smiles, you captured the laughter, you captured the tears, seeing that rainbow of emotions on these parents' faces that, like Mike said, you thought you would never smile again. They felt like they would never smile again or have any reason to smile again. And here they are laughing, hugging, and crying. And to me, that's a success.
I love watching how the retreats, how they change throughout the 3 days. People come to get, especially the new people.
The strangers,
The
yes.
strangers, you come in, you're timid. I've been there. You're timid. You don't know what to do. What is this? Kumbaya, so on and so on. So it starts out like that. Everyone's a little quiet. Terry does a great job in bringing everyone up. About midway through, there's some crying, a little bit here and there, but people are starting to relax. They get comfortable with each other. They start to smile again. We saw some that it wasn't that long ago that they lost their
Right.
child, and they were laughing in the middle. And towards the end, the last day when people are leaving, you have new friends, new acquaintances, new contacts. Everyone's changing email numbers and phone numbers and looking forward to the next year.
even this group from Houston and San Antonio, the Hansons and the Hernandez, and they were all getting together. They're going to start kind of getting together on a regular basis now.
And I love what Anna told us about Carlos. We were actually worried about Carlos because several of the dads had been trying to get in touch with him, and see how he's doing and everything. He never replied to us. We could talk to Anna. She said, "Well, he's good, but he's just not talking." So she said he went almost a year not saying anything. She said then a week before the retreat, she couldn't get him to shut up about the retreat. So he was excited about coming. He connected with the other dads, and we're going to try to continue that kind of connection, that kind of bond with our dads. We met with we have a new survivor outreach services director. David Verding is new here in Fort Worth for SOS. And he wants to get in touch with more groups like Heroes on the Water that can take the dads out and do adventures with the dads. We don't have to sing Kumbaya. We don't have to share our pain or anything, sit around, hold hands. We're going to go fishing. We're going to go hunting, shooting, have some fun. And that's what we need to continue with our dads. And like Mike said, the beginning of our retreat on Friday nights, we do a roll call for the fallen. That's probably the most emotional we get. And I was actually concerned about doing it. I said, this hurts. That brings that pain. We've got a slideshow of the soldiers, their pictures, their names, their ranks, their dates. We have the parents stand up as we say their name, and Beth rings the honor bell. And that hurts. I can barely say Bryan's name without crying. And then after that, it's connecting, it's sharing stories, it's having fun, it's turning our tears into laughter and hugs. And like you said, on Sunday morning, when it's time to check out, I almost have to run them off.
Yeah.
It's checkout time.
Yep.
But we stand around talking, visiting.
That's where we get some good pictures of the house.
Yes.
It is.
This is one
Yeah.
of Sheila and Pam.
Oh, yes.
I remember after you did that first roll call and you weren't sure if you were going to do it again, because that is probably the peak of the emotional part.
Yep.
I encouraged Terry and Beth. I said, No, you got to keep doing it because it's a chance for mom and dad, even though you have tears in your eyes. And it is, again, it's the peak of the emotion. But it lets the other parents, as you stand up to honor your child. Oh, that's their son. Oh, that's their daughter. You can look around, and it's very personal. It's very raw. And Terry's continuing it,
Yep.
and
Rick,
I like it.
Rick captured a bunch of their faces, and you can see just the raw.
Yeah.
We have one mother every year. When I call her
Mhm.
son's name, she will cry. She will just almost wail. But she goes on, and she has her own organization. She and her husband, they carry on. They put that one foot in front of the other, even through that pain.
Because, you know, so many times you think it's sons, but you have daughters.
There are.
Like the Luckies. Their daughter, she died on a ship. It's an illness that when you get treated.
And they have an ongoing legal battle. They continually go to Washington, D.C. to fight for legislation to get those circumstances changed, to hold somebody accountable for Danielle's death. It's an ongoing battle. And that's another one of those things I have trouble relating to. I can't imagine going years without knowing.
Military, and you know, they're going to be taken care of.
Yep.
Not knowing what happened.
Yeah.
That's something I can't relate to. We're lucky in a sense. We know
Ours was-
how it happened, when it happened, and why.
Yeah.
And that's what we're talking about suicide, because you know exactly how your son Colby died. You know exactly how your son Bryan died. But then we have these children who commit suicide, and the parents don't know, what did I do wrong? What could I have done? Was it because of this? Was it because of that? Because I think you said something about the suicide doesn't just affect the person, it affects the family.
It does, and that's something that I did want to talk about just a little bit here. Again, I was shocked at how many suicides there are in the military.
I have one in my squadron.
I'm
Yeah,
sure
we
you.
came back from a deployment in
Right.
August of 2019. In September of 2019, the young man's supposed to come in that weekend and didn't.
Yep.
And we sent somebody to his house to see what's going on and found him on the floor, single gunshot wound to the head. And yeah, the family, you know, we wrapped our arms around them, but
Right.
it affected the entire squadron, 300 people.
Yes.
Right.
On top of the family, the entire squadron.
It does. And everyone's wondering, and that's what I want. If there's someone out there that is a military member, or not even a military member, if you're out there thinking of ending your life, I understand that. You know, the pain you're going through today, it will change. Trust me, I've actually been there. But when you take your life or you lose your life, you're leaving behind a slew of people. You're leaving behind parents, siblings, friends. They're all wondering, what did I miss? What did I do wrong? I wasn't there for them. You're creating more pain than you're alleviating when you take your life. And yeah, that's an area I don't know anything about. But those are the tough parents. When I see a parent who's dealing with the suicide of their soldier, sailor, that's tough to relate to. I feel for them.
Absolutely. So you've got the 2024 all booked up?
We're booked, and now we're just looking at funding to make sure that we can pull it off.
So we're gonna need some fundraising.
We are some serious fundraising. We're working with Carry the Load this year. The funds that are donated to Carry the Load through Gold Star Parents Retreat actually come back to Gold Star Parents Retreat. So that's one of the things that we're doing. And we were tickled pink to discover that Bryan's photo is going to be on the side of the Carry the Load relay buses this year. And they are actually going close to where Tiffany and Bryan's kids live. So they're going to get to see their dad on the side of the Carry the Load bus as it makes its way across the West Coast and all the way into Dallas. So we're looking forward to that.
Wow.
I saw those pictures you posted of the bus, and that's so cool to see. Bryan,
That is just, I don't even know how to describe that. That is such a feeling. Back in 2014, we met with Stephen Hawley, who's one of the founders of Carry the Load. And I had a photo of Bryan, and Stephen Hawley said, I would love to carry Bryan for the Carry the Loads. That was back in 2014. And now then to see that Bryan's photo is on the bus, that I don't know if Stephen's driving it or what.
That's awesome. That's it. That's it.
Put your phone in mine.
Technical difficulties.
Technical.
I love it. But yeah,
We carry the local great organization, and we get up there all weekend.
Debbie Wright has just done a phenomenal job. And yeah, we will have a booth set up, and I will walk the 7-mile loop at least once. There was one year I was out there, and it was kind of like a penance for me. I pushed myself all night. I walked 35 miles in 24 hours, nonstop, and had a fortune. Gidget walked beside me all night long. She wouldn't leave me alone. She was concerned for me. We stopped at Bryan's poster. You know, they have the Carry the Load posters. I stopped, and I kissed Bryan's cheek, and then I just broke. And it was, I think it was 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, and I went back to the tent. Beth was in the tent and laid down beside her, and I said, I think I'm done. The year after that, I walked with Kevin Hodes, and he said, how are you feeling this year? And I said, you know what, I'm good. I think I got past whatever point that was, that I felt like I owed Bryan an apology or something. I don't know what that was. But I got past that, and now our retreats have been successful. We've met some incredible people. We've gotten so much support and love, and we're going to keep going. I'm not walking that 35 miles, but I'm still putting one foot in front of the other, Rick. That's what I'm doing.
Yeah, and that's weekend. You know, they have the Katy Trail all lined with all these signs, you know, all the following. And then on Monday, Memorial Day, then everybody goes and walks, and picks up the signs, and you bring Bryan's sign, and you walk up there and you turn it in, so it can be used the next year.
That is extremely powerful visual. You can see either the parents carrying their child, soldiers carrying their brothers, the first responders carrying their brothers, and it's tearful, and it's powerful, and it's incredibly heartwarming. There's so many emotions in that, and it's an incredible mission that Carry the Load has
Thousands
done.
of people walk.
Thousands.
Yeah, speaking of posters, right up to it, we made some beautiful posters for some of the children.
They did.
I lost soldiers. And we had several of those on display, and they also sent the posters to the parents.
Yes.
So they got posters.
Those were well made. They did a really nice job on
That's a
those.
great organization.
Yeah.
That's a great organization that really, they do a lot of work for veterans.
They do.
I don't know how they mail those to. Those are big posters to drop in the mailbox.
It was a big package.
That's a big package. Yeah, but they're beautiful.
That whole organization, Randall Reed, Christine, Maureen, the director.
Maureen is
They did
fabulous.
a fabulous job. Remembering and carrying the names of this lost. A lot of stuff going on. It was every day Memorial Day for y'all.
It is.
And I just wish that I've got a list of all the parents that were there. We had over 60 parents, all the children. I just wish we had time to speak each child's name. But, you know, we never want to forget them.
We won't.
We always want to remember them.
That's one thing, again, I love about the roll call. You can put them together. You know, you can see their child, or there's mom and dad. I won't ever forget these people.
And it just doesn't, your work as Gold Star parents and parents who love children, it doesn't ever stop. It's just not about one weekend retreat. Because both of you go around the different organizations, and you're more than willing, I know, to talk to other parents. If they just need to say, hey, I need to talk to somebody about my child. I know that y'all would both be open to
Absolutely.
doing that.
Yes,
So,
sir.
yeah, just reach out to Terry, to the Gold Star Parents Retreat, and say, hey, I want to talk to somebody. And,
I'd be honored. I mean,
Mike,
if you've got my number and you're having a bad day, you give me a call.
yeah. You're retired, man. So-
I'm retired now. I'm busier now though when I was working. You
That's
might
what
have, you might
everybody
know that.
says. That's the truth, isn't it?
It is the
I
truth.
tell you.
But we are so honored to have y'all on the show today. And we just want to always remember Bryan Burgess and his sacrifice. Because his legacy lives on. And the Gold Star Parents Retreat
Does.
and for Colby. You know, because it's just so good to see you and Lisa so involved. Because, you know, like I said, that first retreat, man, you're,
You forget what you looked like
yeah.
that first year. You're in a fog.
And we could see that in some of the pictures. You know, there's one particular dad that, you know, Billy Hogan.
Oh, gosh, yes, sir.
He spoke that Friday night talking about his son. I mean, that was a big deal for Billy to get up and speak. But I pulled some pictures from other retreats to look at him, and you can see just by his face that he was having.
Oh, that first year he came, we were sitting out on the deck with our first cigar bar. Billy, bless his heart, he was locked up. He had his arms crossed and his legs crossed, and he was kind of hunched. We started sharing stories about our sons, and they started saying, oh my gosh, your son was there? Well, my son was there at that time too. You know, they must have crossed paths, and my son served with this unit, and this unit relieved this unit. And Billy, he uncrossed his arms and he started leaning forward. He was listening. We kept talking. And somebody finally said something about a unit that Ryan had served with, Billy's son had served with. And Billy said, Ryan was in that unit. And they said, well, I'm sure our sons crossed paths. And from then on, Billy, he scooted in, you know, he was talking
right with
and
us.
he started visiting. And then for him coming to the retreat this year, willing to be able to speak was huge. That was a huge step forward for Billy and Jeanette.
You actually will see men and women unage. You actually see it happen, and you saw that in Delisha and I. But I'm not going to call out any names. I'm not going to do that. but I saw particularly one gentleman. He unaged by about 5 years between last year and this year.
Yeah,
You know who I'm talking about?
I do.
Yes.
I do.
Yes.
And next year, we'll see those parents who were here this year for the first time.
Yep.
Being right where you and Alicia were
Right.
the second year.
Yep.
Whenever y'all had open arms and started taking those parents.
Yes, sir.
And there are a couple that I don't want to say refuse, but there are some people that just they're a little tougher to get out of the hole, and we're not going to give up on those folks.
No.
We're not giving up on them.
We won't forget Gold Star Parents either. I just want to kind of end this about the Gold Star Parents Retreat. And this is by our friend Ralph Hansen. And it's on the website. It says, Sergeant Burgess, your parents and the things they're doing to honor and respect your service, and all of our sons and daughters as Gold Star Parents coordinators is something very special. They're doing you proud and helping many of us here. Ralph Hansen, Gold Star Dad, retreat again.
That is very much appreciated. Very
It
much.
means a lot.
Great people that you bring together. I just appreciate y'all so much. And Gold Star Parents Retreat.org. Just go there, find out more about the retreat, and if you're so inclined, hit that donation button and help some other parents go to the Gold Star Parents.
Cliff Yao has a fundraiser going on right now that he's going to match whatever's donated. So if you can find Cliff Yah, he's from Gainesville. He's from Gainesville, where we had several of our retreats.
I went to that Gold Star family monument and gave me that coffee cup.
Yes,
That's
sir.
my favorite coffee cup.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Cliff's a great guy. You
Yes.
see these guys that just jump in the air to help.
Looks like Troy. My gosh.
Oh my gosh.
Are you
yeah.
kidding me? He
Always a trip. Isn't
he is.
He's fun.
What a good man. He doesn't have to do this,
Well, but he does.
but he does, and he does it well. Yeah.
Brings the cigars.
He does.
Good cigars.
We do not sing Kumbaya.
No, we don't. We don't.
Thank you all so much for being on the show today, and we'll never forget Bryan and Colby. We'll always remember them, and all the other Gold Star parents and their children. So,
Well, thank you, Rick, Mary, Larry. Thank y'all
Yes.
for having us here. Mike, thanks for sharing the spot. That's
Absolutely.
wonderful.
Take a little heat off.
Thank you, guys.
Mary, what we got coming up on roll call?
Well, so first thing we have coming up is next Tuesday, we're going to have Don here. So we're going to bring Don Graves back. Everybody loves Don. And he's going to share a little bit about the trip to Pearl Harbor, which was his first time back since the war. Boy, that was emotional. I was with him on that one. And then now he's in Ireland for the wish that he had that got granted. So we'll get to hear some stories from that. And this weekend we have his birthday party. Not this weekend, next weekend, the weekend after that. So the 13th, we're doing a drive-by birthday. So Jimmy from Cafe Republic. So if you go out there on Facebook, you can probably find it, and I'll make sure it's back up on our roll call Facebook page. But the information about where to gather for the parade, and then we're going to drive past Don's house. So we'll get all the cars out there honking, waving flags, all that good stuff. And then in the afternoon from 2 to 5 at 54th Street at Rain Lily Trail and 35 Heritage Trace, that whole area up there in Keller, we're going to do a birthday. Just drop in, be there to let him know you're thinking about him, but 2 to 5 on the 13th. So that we have going on. And then, of course, the 11th, we are going with a group of World War II vets to the Capitol. So we're going to that's going to be the day on the state Capitol floor of the state Senate that they will honor the World War II veterans. And right now, I think I'm up to about 8 or 9 confirmed of our roll call vets. We actually have 44 still on our roster, but we actually had close to 20 at the luncheon. But we'll get those guys down and some of them with their families. And so families and friends are invited. So if you know a World War II veteran that nobody's talked to yet that would be able to and interested in going, they can reach out to us at the info@roll-call.org, and we'll make sure they have the information. We're going to meet up down there 10 o'clock in the morning. They're going to get them all on the floor of the Senate, and they're going to just do a big reception and a big thank you and commemorate their service. So it's going to be really neat because, our youngest World War II guy is about 95 or 96 years old.
Yeah.
Our oldest
Yeah.
is 104 for roll call. Our oldest is 104-year-old Ernie LaCroix, turned 104 at the end of February. Same day as Rick had a birthday, but Rick's a little younger.
Yep.
And then the end of the month, of course, we have our next luncheon, and that's going to be Jim Sharp, who is a Korea War veteran. And then the next big one is going to be June with Dr. Eugene Richardson Jr., one of the remaining Tuskegee Airmen.
Oh, excellent.
So we got a lot going on.
We've got him here at the show, and his proclamation from the city and the mayor.
Nice.
It's going to be good.
Yeah, we're going to just stay busy until July, and then we're going to take a little breather.
The heat wave.
And our fundraiser is going to be in October. We have a clay shoot at the Federal Outdoors Clay Sporting Ranch out in Benbrook. And we're just looking for sponsors. We need sponsors. I know that, Benbrook is the first store that Chicken Meat had. And I know that Chicken Express, that guy.
Yeah.
So we're going to be doing it right over the hill from that first store. So maybe you can put in a good word. You can sponsor us.
I'm going to send him this video.
Send him
The office is about 50 feet from here.
Yeah, it's right there. So, Chicken Meat, we're looking for some donation. Black Rifle Coffee, they're in Benbrook. We need to bust that one open and get some.
Yeah,
support.
yeah.
Get some support from them.
Yeah, and even if people, if for some reason you want to help out, but all you can do is donate a door prize or I guess a raffle prize, a silent auction item, you know, we need those. We need food, we need water, we need all that kind of stuff. So anything that anybody can do
And
to help us out.
If they don't like to shoot or can't shoot, they can always sponsor a veteran or two.
Right.
Or whatever. So it's going to be a great time. Raise some money so we can keep feeding veterans. So
That's right.
it takes money to feed
It
those
does,
veterans.
and we don't have a paid person on our staff either, and I think that's true of most veteran organizations.
Yeah, a big shout out again for the Air Power Foundation because they were able to fund through the Civic Leaders Organization to give
To help
provide,
cover, yeah, so
you know,
between,
meals for 800 people.
yeah, and Jeff Owings of Owings Auto in Grand Prairie,
A lot of great-
he contributed also specifically to that luncheon. So we have, you know, a lot of folks that really helped us able to do that, because that luncheon cost us a little bit more than our normal luncheon.
Yeah.
So it is a bigger expense, so it was really a
We
blessing.
expect to see Mike.
Yes.
I'm retired now. I've got time.
Yes.
To be there.
I'm going to start to make
Yes.
some of these events. Absolutely.
We do lots of stuff, all kinds of stuff.
Larry, what do you have going on?
Same old deal.
Political season's about over, so
Yep.
you've got everybody through that wants to come.
Today's the last day of early voting, and then Saturday is the big day.
Wow.
They have, the mayor, the city council members.
Don't ever know until
Don't ever
the
know.
fat lady
That's
sings.
right. That's right. Bicycle driving, working on that.
I started on that the day after the last one.
Over 16,000 bicycles given in the last
37 years this year.
Come by for auto detail.
Auto detail.
Headlight restoration.
Come visit the museum, whatever.
Museum, and you've got subscriptions now, so they can
Yes,
see the museum online.
online. Yep,
Nice.
We thank you for your support.
my
Not
pleasure.
only the show, but for the city and the county and all the stuff you do. You help get the word out about a lot of things out there.
Yep.
And I was out with, this is something I need your help with soon. The Daughters of American Revolution that we did originally,
Mhm.
they have kind of taken over the Pioneers Rest Cemetery. I was out there last week taking some pictures for them. They're having a big cleanup. And I'm going to have some of those ladies I'm going to bring them by one point in time so we can kind of talk, because we really need more support from the city for work.
They just sent me a deal. Sarah Fizio. They want me to speak at their chapter of Daughters of American Revolution, October 19th. I don't know my schedule,
I
but
don't know which chapter that is, but it may be the same chapter. You can have chapters, but we really need some city support. Well, to clear it out, I take pictures, so it's a we. But all this vegetation at the back of the cemetery, and we have to haul it all up to the front, put it out in the wrong place. The city's got equipment. They can come in there in 5 minutes and get that stuff hauled out. So we just need some city support, and we'll be coming to talk to you about that.
good.
So
We'll rattle their cages.
we enjoyed the show. We enjoyed having Terry and Mike on the show, and we look forward to the next retreat. Always stoked to go to.
Oh, thank you, Rick.
Yeah, we're honored to be here. We really are. Thank
We're
you.
honored to have you. Dusty and Tyler, thank you all for
Yeah.
your work back there and putting all this stuff together. And this is Hometown Heroes,
Show 42.
Show 42. And always remember Bryan and Colby and their sacrifice.
Yep.
Because we want to always remember your children and honor them. We'll see you next week. We'll have Don Graves on.
Wow.
This is Hometown
If he
Heroes.
survives Ireland.
If Ireland survives him.
Oh, yeah.
That's more like.
Thanks you all for watching, and we'll see you next week.
Good.